In this video, we're going to be reviewing the news bomb about Soul Wars, the new starter set for Age of Sigmar 2.0, as well as reviewing all the cool releases they have. And at the end of the video, we're going to talk about some giveaways that my channel is going to be running so that you can win some of the awesome stuff that's coming up. Stay tuned. Okay. Welcome, Wargamers. Doug here with 2+ stuff, and I'm not going to waste a whole lot of your time. We're going to dive straight into the Soul Wars announcement article. But like I said, I am doing some giveaways for the armies that do come in that set, so stay tuned towards the end. We're going to talk about how to do those. So let's go over to the page here, make sure everything's working. Okay. Where is it at? Here we go, Soul Wars, in the big banner thing. Now, typically when I do these, I review the article and then we talk about our thoughts at the end. I'm going to be a little bit more stream of conscious here. How excited am I? I'm excited enough to run home on my lunch break and do this video. So, if you haven't seen it, I don't play videos when I do these things because it kind of messes with the audio. But there is a wonderful cinematic video kind of introducing the storyline. And the thing I love about these videos, they have gorgeous art as well as great voice acting. So go ahead and check it out. They talk about Soul Wars, the boxed set. Now, this is a rerunning GIF or GIF, whatever you prefer. And basically, it's just showing you the contents. What this really is almost identical to the big 2-player starter set for 40k. If you're not familiar, 40k has the big set with the Primaris Marines and the Nurgle stuff. It's the same thing where it's a mega box set, and they're probably going to have smaller subsets afterwards that include variants on the kits and things like that. So that's something to look forward to. The way that they released it in that similar fashion tells me there's going to be those smaller boxes, kind of like the Thunder and Blood set is a tuned down version of the first starter set for AOS. So going back here, and really quickly, what they do is you obviously get your 2 armies. You get a primer book just in case you need to like teach a kid a small like quick get started thing. A large book, which we'll talk about here in a second. And a few things about like what the hobby is and stuff like that. Stuff you'd find in any starter set. They go through kind of the models included starting there, which is a great point to start. Wonderful picture. This is the Night Haunt side versus the Sacrosanct Chamber. You can see some cool art. I love, just for the record, this part of the, well, it used to be the Garden of Moor, but the mausoleum thing where it's buried in the ground. We'll do a close-up of the actual models here in a second. Just a clip of the sprue. They do mention that these are all push fit, which is great. I think it's great for starter sets to be like that. And I have found in my experience that push fit stuff is pretty easy to convert. I don't think that'll be a huge problem. They start by representing, they kind of give you this great little chart that just has a picture of everything fully assembled, as well as the knights and kind of a little fluff text for them. Sorry if I kind of peer off to the side. I have a microphone in my face. And so, yeah, great stuff. We've seen these dudes. So it's nothing incredibly new, but it's nice to get like a chart that kind of labels out which is which. And they do the same thing for Night Haunt. Obviously, there are a lot more Night Haunt models than there are Stormcast. What I like is I just finished listening to the Stormcast, the official Age of Sigmar podcast. And they had the lead designer for some of these models on, and he was talking about how all of these dudes, the chain rasps, they're supposed to be modeled in the way that they died, to represent how they died. So this guy might have been killed in a stockade. Here, get that zoomed in. Some of them were just warriors around their house, armed with whatever kind of shanty weapons they had. So that's kind of cool that they put that much thought into it. And they're gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. They do also point out that you get what looks like a small little mini campaign book. The first AOS starter set had that too, where it's like 3 or 4 missions that kind of escalate between using like, 1 or 2 of these models, and then by the end of it, kind of adds them on each mission, and then by the end of it, you have a full set basically. You have the core rules, which is interesting, which is the large book, which is going to be all the fluff, the lore, the maps, the pictures. And then also the Start Here book, which is more of the, here's how you build the models that come in this box, introduction to Games Workshop paints, things like that. This is really the same formula we saw with the exception of the hardcover book, or the core rule book, I should say, that we saw in other starter boxes. So that's great. Also includes some really pretty dice. Usually they're just the bland white ones, but those are pretty. And also included is they changed the format of War Scroll cards, which I'm excited to see. A big complaint that I have had, something that's kept me away from buying War Scroll cards before, is because they're all the same size, but they all have varying amounts of text. So you'll get like the Griffhound one, I think was their example, where it's like 2 paragraphs, and then you have like the Nagash one where it's just like a thesis, right, about his abilities. And so I know that they were trying to change the format of these suckers to make them a little more conducive to reading for folks who don't have great eyes, but also relay all the information. So that's great. I want to see what they all look like. This is definitely a great start. Let's see here. And then top it off, you have the core book, which does look like a hardcover. I see the binding right there. Oh yeah, sturdy hardbook cover. 320 glorious pages. I heard a rumor that the new actual rules for the game are 18, which would be amazing if we had, 302 pages of lore, art, and all that kind of cool stuff. And they kind of dive into the core rulebook, and this is kind of the stuff that we got excited about when we saw AOS 2.0 being discussed, which is it goes over all the forces. What I am looking forward to in the forces section is discussions about why these various factions are doing what they do. For example, there's been a lot of discussion ever since the Daughters of Cain came out of like, these guys don't seem good, but I would love it if this little flavor text here and then a recounting of what order actually is doubles down the idea that order is not good, good is not order, and so these people are all just working together to fight chaos. So yeah, the first part of the core rulebook takes our closest look at the narrative of the Mortal Realm so far, fleshing out the timeline, that's important, and taking a look at everything from the Age of Myth to the capture of Slaanesh to the Realmgate Wars and the Shyish Necroquake. The Necroquake is what's causing all the magic to go nuts, if you don't know. New art realizes the Mortal Realms in gorgeous detail, with sweeping vistas that truly underline the cosmic scale of the setting. This is everything I've ever wanted for Age of Sigmar. If you look at some of my older videos, what I used to tell people is, hey, if you want to design a realm, go Google Magic the Gathering land cards, because we needed those kind of scenery things to kind of get that kind of fantasy setting in our mind, because in Magic, impossible things happen all the time too. And so it kind of moves away from that Tolkien-esque is what I'm trying to say. And so we're getting that. We're finally getting that for Age of Sigmar from the artist to envision these things. And that is incredible. You're going to see me spend a lot of time on this book, quite frankly, because the timeline and when you look at the Age of Myth has long since been a thorn in my side because it's kind of this very abstract. This happened then, but there's no time frame and you don't know what order things happen. And it's just kind of like when we don't want to answer a question, then it happened in the Age of Myth. So I'm very excited for that. You're going to see a series of videos from me that kind of go through each age, and I want to really capture what those ages are about. So, preview. Spoiler alert, I would say. That's what's coming. Next we move on to a guide to every single one of the realms, designed to add depth and character to each, from maps to timelines and art that shows you what a citizen of that realm might look like. You'll find intrigue, mystery, and plenty of context for your collections and the mighty wars they will wage. Again, amazing. People have left multiple comments. Actually, the most commented on video for quite some time on my channel was the Free Peoples lore review. And people asking, what does Free Peoples look like in blank realm? And I've been asked dozens of times, like, various realms, like what does it look like in life or fire? I think these, from what I've just read in this little mini paragraph here, that is exactly the question that they're answering, and good on them for doing it. I'm very excited about that. In a perfect world, I'd love if each realm had like a bits box released for it. Like, here, throw this crap on your free little dudes and make them look like they're from Akshi. I think that'd be cool. A close look at the factions provides your guide to each of the Grand Alliances. Learn how the disparate forces of order forge common cause in the free cities. Explore the serried hordes of chaos, and learn about Nagash's dark schemes. So yeah, like exactly what we talked about before. How come Daughters of Cain work with good guys even though they're not good? Or guys, I guess, technically. Nah, that seems exactly what it is. Likely, this will be something. If you look at the 40K hardcover book, it really does go through every faction and gives them about 3 or 4 paragraphs, and just says who they are, something to make them sound cool, and how they fit into the grander scheme. Sort of like a little mini paragraph on like what their goals are, that kind of stuff. So yeah. And this is really an important thing. If you're brand new to the setting, it's a perfect way to get caught up. We have a lot of people who play 40K who have now seen the power of what Games Workshop game designers can do, and then I think there's more interest in AOS 2.0 than there ever was in number 1. And I think it's important to have a book released with it that really catches people up so people can jump right in. And that's just the first half. The second part of the book is dedicated to playing games. As well as the essential core rules, you'll find loads of content to let you expand your games however you choose. Here's just some of what you get. Realm of Battle rules let you, basically, Realm of Battle, you can pick the realm you're fighting in. An open war battle plan generator that makes choosing which... this is, when I read this, open war battle plan generator, isn't that just the open war cards? Maybe they're including something... maybe is a little less, doesn't require another product. Maybe. I don't know. I'm curious about how this fits in with open war cards. A guide to all sorts of narrative play games, from desperate sieges to brutal subterranean warfare, and some inspiration for your own campaigns. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to browbeat the gentleman at Rerolling Ones. I'm calling you out right now. Mark, Jack, Brent. We're going to be diving into this super hardcore. So the gauntlet has been cast, picked up, and I am bludgeoning you friends with the gauntlet. 6 matched play games as well as battle strategies. A new way to score your games that rewards quick thinking and flexibility. No idea what this means. I'm thinking it's something akin to, what do they call it in 40K? Maelstrom of War, where like you have random objectives every single turn, and so you have to like really quickly direct your forces to make every turn's goals succeed. That's what I hear when I read that. And if so, I am so all for it. I think that is the most fun thing about 40K right now, is when no one can build their list to fulfill a certain plan. Everyone's just like, now this way. Holy crap, now it's over this way. And everyone's got to scramble, and you have to really think about how to build a list that can cover a lot of different ground. So that's exciting. In short, the core rulebook is your gateway to every aspect of the Warhammer hobby, providing you with the tools you need to get started and play the types of games you want, whether you're a beginner or a veteran. That is exactly what this book needed to be. Something for everyone. Just like the first General's Handbook was, I will add. That was a book that was for everyone, and I loved when that came out. They give you an example. This is kind of a really small picture. I didn't realize that. Open a new tab. Let's see if we can get this. Nope, same size. Okay. Well, it's just a guide to let us see what that page might look like. Next is what I'm really stoked about, is a Malign Sorcery. Okay, so pause. The big box with all the models comes with that hardcover book, and that's important. Where's that? Here we go. This set. This is that book right there. So just keep that in mind. So they talked about the big starter set for 2 people, the core rulebook, and now we're moving into another product that's coming out, and it's Malign Sorcery. Malign Sorcery is by far and away our favorite change to the new edition. It's an expansion that takes Magic and turns it up to 11. First off, I love the fact this is an expansion pack. It's not a necessary thing, but I think you're going to want it based on what I've read beforehand. The point is, I love the fact that if you have a current army, you don't need to buy this. Really, all you need is the core rulebook for updates, and even that, the actual core rules are going to be available for free. They've already said that. Any War Scroll updates are going to be available for free. And so I like the fact that this doesn't require anything of you to start playing AOS 2.0. I just wanted to put that out there. I think it's very important for folks who say, like, oh, I just bought this XYZ, whether it's a Battle Tome or the General's Handbook. It's all going to work. You get it for free. What we're talking about here is complete add-ons and extras and stuff like that. So that's something I want to highlight. Anyway, back to Malign Sorcery. Got a wizard in your army? Get this expansion. They'll have 13 new endless spells to play with, summoned sorceries, with massive in-game effects. We previewed a few of them over the past weeks, but now we can reveal the full list in all its glory. This is one box that comes with a ton of models. 13 models in total. Some of them, you have 2 models to represent one spell effect. Like this is the mirror thing we actually saw previewed before, where you shoot a spell into a mirror and it shoots out the other side at your enemy. And if you cast a spell once, you set one of the mirrors up near you and the other one goes somewhere else. Let's zoom in here. So you have the big maw. All the names are down here. I'm calling them whatever I feel like calling them at this moment. There's the big maw that was always with a destruction army. Obviously, Coughing, the Pokemon. We have the broom from Fantasia or whatever it was with Mickey Mouse. We have the swords from Thor. I'm listing off basically all the memes that we've seen online. To be serious, though, things of note that we haven't seen really. This cog system right here looks incredibly interesting. This is the life spell that was mentioned in the Nurgle article that heals people over time. The mirror ones, I'm assuming the Fire Skull one is just a general destruction spell. If you look at the flavor text for each of them, one of them in particular stands out as being something that I am very interested in, and that is number 12. Number 12! I'm sorry, Soul Snare Shackles, which is going to be terrible for me to try and say online. Mystical chains that latch onto the legs of any enemy who try to pass through them. When we're talking about these things in match play, which we'll get to in a second, being able to hold up the line of an enemy, that's good. Like, that's a good thing to be able to do. If I'm playing Jack, who's a Khorne player, at least that's what we're going to focus on when we start the new edition. Like, if I can throw these 3 things down, which looks like it's just one spell. A lot of these are one spell for multiple models. And I can tie up his blob of Blood Reavers, he's going to be a sad panda. So I won't read through all these because they're just kind of flavor text. But every single one of these spells, along with its War Scroll card, is in the box. Your one-stop shop. First of all, let's talk about something here. This is actually a radical change for GW. They have an additional thing that's all-in-one optional. And I love the fact that what I was expecting was, as we were kind of being previewed these spells, I really thought they were going to put it into small box sets with like, kind of like the heroes from Silver Tower. If you remember those box sets where it's like 4 or 5 heroes, I did not expect in a million years it would be all one set. And what's cool is that, if your gaming group bought this together, I don't know how much it's going to cost, probably like, I imagine like $85. I don't know, maybe less. If you bought it all together, you could just elect to not ever take the same spells because it'll be on the table anyway, which would be kind of cool. And then you don't need more than one copy. Inside the box, you'll find the Malign Sorcery Supplement, your guide to magic in the mortal realms. The book takes a closer look at magical lore in Age of Sigmar and the arcane materials that accumulate in each realm. So in this box is where we're going to see all of those realm-specific spells that have been previewed, which is interesting to note that it's not in the GHB and it's not in the core rules. So, such as Ether Quartz and Cycle Stone. Okay. So yeah, Ether Quartz, Cycle Stone, those are probably the raw stuff of magic, like the grave sand, I think is what they call it in Realm of Death. There are pages of spectacular new art. I really hope it's different art than what's in the core book. Background depicting the unbound living magic rampant across each of the mortal realms, each of the realms. You'll even find a painting guide for each one of them. Got a little preview for the painting guide. Awesome. I'm going to follow the Gnashing Maw one to the teeth, the many, many, many teeth. And I'm very excited about that one. And this next part is very interesting, so listen. There's more. Emphasis on more. Seriously, even without these endless spells, this would be a pretty hefty supplement. Skirmish on the Realm's Edge lets you fight battles with a handful of models in some of the mortal realms' most unstable landscape as they hunt and bind wild spells for coin and for renown. You can even expand your games to Path to Glory as your warband grows into a fully fledged army. So what I'm hearing is it's a skirmish variant where you're hunting magic effects rather than necessarily fighting each other. That is really cool. You can add models to it and then grow that kind of warband, if you will, into a full Path to Glory, small, like from the onset kind of army. Very awesome. I want them to expand skirmish so bad. I can't even express it. And so this is basically, oh, never mind, another small picture, but it's another Path to Glory at Realm's Edge. So it's just another campaign thing for easy getting into the game, and a way to use these cool models if you're not playing full games with friends. For larger games, meanwhile, this book contains no fewer than 84 magical items that you'll be able to use in any game, allowing you to customize your heroes more than ever before, while the spells of the realms add a whole lore's worth of magic to each mortal realm, building on the rules already found in the core rulebook. Here's what I'm thinking. I wonder if the artifacts for each realm are also in this supplement rather than the core rules. Wouldn't be the end of the world, because there's even a set of pitched battle profiles giving you the points you need to use your endless spells in matched play, while 2 malign sorcery battle plans aimed at match play. So you get another 2 battle plans, which is awesome. Yeah, I wasn't expecting the spells and the items to be in this add-on supplement, but it's not the end of the world. I mean, it certainly doesn't take anything away. And then, so now we're up to 3 products: the core 2-player set, the rule book, Malign Sorcery. Now we're on number 4, the General's Handbook 2018. And they kind of just review how awesome the General's Handbook is, and how it's going to be an addition to the core rule book. Again, you have to remember these articles are for people who haven't been playing AOS, and so they're not used to the concept of, oh, I have my core rules and now I need this other book. So keep that in mind. They have to review what it is, why they want it. They get some cool new battle plans. That's a gnarly looking deployment zone right there. I dig it. So yeah, let's see. Open play, as ever, remains a treat for those gamers who are looking for fresh new ways to play Warhammer Age of Sigmar. A vastly expanded battle plan generator allows you to create new battle plans easily. No more wondering which you'll choose, while aerial battles bring a whole new dimension to your games. Ever wanted to see how a wing of prosecutors would fare against a pack of Zangor Skyfires? Poorly they would fare against Skyfires. Okay. Scene. Okay, you can play overhead combat where the battle in the skies can violently affect the battlefield below. Here's the thing. A lot of people poo-poo open play. That is the kind of stuff that it needed. The kind of things that make thematic games a thing. I don't think the line between open and narrative is so blurry or is so strict anymore. I think it's kind of blurred where you're telling a story in the sky, but it also affects the storyline happening on ground. That is incredible. And so we're definitely going to be jumping into that. Just this scene alone, right? Talk about aerial battles. Yeah, I want to play KO with that. That sounds incredible. General's Handbook is also an incredible resource for narrative play, offering you some really flexible and powerful rules for designing your own battle plans of your own and telling rich stories on the battlefield. 43 new special rules allow you to add all manner of strange effects to your games, from shower of meteors to storms of magic and a network of tunnels. Tunnels will be interesting. I wonder if they'll function a lot like realm gates do now, where you walk up to it and basically teleport. Very interesting. Gathering of Might is designed to let you play your biggest games ever. Titanic and climactic clashes that define the mortal realms forever. So we got some big game things. I assume this is like a, what do they call it in 40K? Apocalypse, I think. Or it used to be called Apocalypse. It was a supplement a while ago. Finally, for every kind of gamer, the General's Handbook 2018 contains a new set of rules for summoning for every army that used it before, as well as an allegiance abilities for every faction that was featured last year. For reference, that's... Okay, pause. Something I've seen online is people being angry that their faction wasn't covered. Keep in mind, the list we're about to read is that they're recapping the ones who were featured last year. Okay, it's not saying these are the ones who are in there. We know there have to be more than this list because they talk about the changes to summoning rules. And, for example, Tzeentch Demons, or Disciples of Tzeentch, was not in the last book, but it needs to be talked about in this one to get how they summon. We know how they summon now from a podcast, but so my point is, we're going to look through this list. It's including, but not limited to, is kind of the verbiage here. Darkling Covenants, Dispossessed, Free Peoples, Fire Slayer. The only ones I really don't see from the last one, in case I'm missing something, is Night Haunt and the vampires, the Blood Knights or whatever they are. So everything else kind of looks like it's there. I'm sure there's one that I'm missing, but the two that are important to me, Slaanesh and Slaves to Darkness, are there. And they talk about paints. This is the 5th release of this big thing. And they give you some examples. These things are really cool. I'll probably pick up the green one because I like the way that looks. And I always like warp fire colors look like this, nice and bright. And then a whole bunch of accessories. You have your mighty measuring thing, which I grabbed the Malign Portents one. I'm cool with that. I really like the Malign Portents one, nice and dark. And some objective markers, which I do want to grab. I'm not sure how I feel about this floating one here. I love the way it looks, but I think it needs a base. And maybe there are bases included, and I'm just not seeing them. I don't see anything about bases being included. And then you have this, guys, I'm sorry. I'm really positive, but this is harsh, okay? So basically, these are the dice where you roll to see what a terrain feature does. They still kept that mechanic, which is great. I loved it, added a lot to our games. The thing is that instead of just writing out like damned and arcane, like kind of what people would want, they made a code, and you have to have this key to tell you what it is. But hey, important, very important actually, is the changes they made to some of these things. So if you were watching Rerolling Ones, their Path to Glory campaign, I'm going to spoil a little bit here. The last game we played, Jack's Khorne Bloodbound, the Aspiring Deathbringer, didn't move the entire game because he kept rolling 1s on his frickin' mystical terrain test. And they changed that, and that's actually the first thing I noticed is mystical. Roll a dice each time you allocate a wound or a mortal wound to this model. On a 6-up, the wound is negated. It basically gives you a 6-up super save, which is awesome because it made some kind of non-play issues where I basically got a death stare from Jack, even though I wasn't the one rolling the dice, and I was on the other end of the table, not interacting with him at all. But everything else, I'm trying to think. Damned got toned down because I think it used to be reroll hit rolls in general, wasn't it? If you sacrifice D3 mortal wounds. Arcane's the same. Inspiring is the same. Deadly, they changed it to where if you end within, I thought before you had to go over the terrain piece. This looks like it says if you finish a move within 1 inch, you still get the D3 mortal wounds, which makes it more deadly, I would say, and that's awesome. So review those things. I think the changes are minor except for the mystical one. They just deleted the entire thing about rerolling 1. If you roll the 1, you can't do jack. And lastly, they have the command dice set, which I'm assuming is this guy down here. So you can those numbers are so you can count how many command points you have. Command point trackers and wound trackers. That's what these are. So yeah. Yeah, let's see here. And so basically they're giving you a preview. The last little thing, I would not be surprised if these were obviously their models are coming out soon. I think there's going to be additional stuff. They almost look like let me see here. I'm not crazy, right? These almost look like warbands for Shadespire. Like they're the right size. Okay, if Soul Wars has you hunger for even more of a new Stormcast general model, rest assured there's plenty more cool stuff on the way. On the release weekend, meanwhile, you'll be able to grab a range of push-fit kits to bolster. Okay, so these are kind of like the mini kits that they have, like the Adjudicators and all that stuff like that. They just look a lot like perfect warbands for Shadespire. That's why I had to stop. And basically it says, and it doesn't stop there, there's more coming out. So, okay, recap. Let's go back up the list. I don't know if these are pre-order that same week or if they're just letting you know that there's stuff coming. So let's not count those, but you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for the 2 paints, 8 for the General's Handbook, 9 for the Malign Sorcery, 10 for the core rulebook, and we'll say 11 for the big box set with everything that you'd ever want under the sun. That's how many things are being up for pre-order on the 16th. All of those things are going to be available then, well, for pre-order, you know what I mean? So I'm very excited about that. I confirmed that with my local GW store. I said, when you say it's all available, like, obviously they mean pre-order because they said that, but I mean, like, is this like one wave, or is this going to be like Deepkin, where it's like in 6 weeks we'll be able to play Malign Sorcery? You confirmed with me, it's just up there, and so I was like, oh, that's awesome. So I'm very excited, guys. Let me tell you what I'm going to do. I am going to grab one of these sets for the Soul Wars box. This is the giveaway portion I'm talking about. When this video is live, I'm going to have a registry thing where you can go leave me your email, and basically here's how it's going to work. I'm going to buy this set. I'm going to keep the rule book, the hardcore rule book, hardcore, hardcover rule book, because I need it for the channel. Okay, I need it to do lore reviews and things like that. However, I don't need the 2 armies in there. So here's what's going to happen. There's going to be 2 raffles going off at the same time. One is going to be my patrons. There's about 50 patrons right now. And I'm going to do a raffle for everyone at the $5 and up level. And basically how it's going to work, whoever wins that raffle is going to pick one side of that army. And they're going to obviously get it. Other raffle is going to be for anyone who watches this video. If you shoot me your email address on the link down in the show notes, you'll be entered to win that one. Obviously, you have way higher odds if you are a patron. So this is my incentive and my invitation to become a patron over on Patreon. You get first pick if you choose the Stormcast or Night Haunt side, and then whatever side they don't pick is going to be raffled off to one of my other viewers. I will ship worldwide. I don't think that'll be a problem. No, it should be a problem. I'll ship worldwide for the other half. I'll open it up there. And it's just a way to gain, I don't know, subscribers and hopefully patrons and stuff like that, and reward you guys, because I do make the promise with my Patreon that all the funds go back to basically giving things away. When I review a battle tome, I give it away. Things like that. I still have to do the Deepkin one. Life kind of got caught crazy after that. So I will be raffling that off. I did raffle off the Daughters of Cain one. That's the plan. So in the link down below, you'll be able to sign up for the general, everyone on YouTube can enter the raffle. But if you want to have your high odds be a little bit higher, go sign up over at Patreon. We have a great community talking about all the cool releases, stuff we're excited about, hobby progress, just more AOS content. And you can see behind the scenes all the crap that I'm doing and all that kind of stuff. So I really appreciate that. We'll do that. We'll start that raffle. I'm going to start it today, and then I'll announce the winners the week that everything comes out. Like once I physically get the box, that day I've already confirmed with my wife that I'm doing a game day, and then next day I should be able to announce the winners of the raffle, just to give you guys some context of my schedule. So go ahead and do that. I'm very, very excited for what's coming, guys. If you want some positive AOS content who's focusing on the rules and lore, I'm going to be diving headlong into Slaves to Darkness rules, and particularly Slaanesh. I want to try Slaanesh out rules before they come with a full battle tome. Follow the channel, click subscribe. We're going to have a blast. It's going to be awesome, and we're going to be positive and encouraging and just laugh a lot along the way. So thank you guys so much for watching, and happy wargaming.